Good day, sports fans, and welcome to lecture number 5 of Cricket South Africa's Level 1 umpiring course, brought to you by Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. My name is Tom Mokorosi. I am the training coordinator of WPCUA, and as usual, my co-presenter for this evening is Abdullah Steenkamp, who is the head of training of WPCUA. Of course, we have a very special guest as well this evening, and we will be starting off the lecture with our first ever Make the Call live episode, featuring none other than ICC Umpire of the Year for 3 years, Marais Erasmus. So thank you all for joining us. We will be going through the normal lecture after our Make the Call live session with Marais. And thank you so much to Marais for taking time out this evening to join us for our first ever Make the Call live episode. So the way it's going to work is that I have collected over the last few months a few scenarios which are interesting in terms of the interpretation of the law and the playing conditions. And we have noticed with these 5 scenarios that we have selected that there are differing opinions out there in terms of how to interpret the law. And so we are going to get the expert opinion of Marais Erasmus on these 5 scenarios. And before we get Marais' expert opinion, we are going to open the floor up to everybody who has joined us from around the world to type into the chat box their answers to the 5 scenarios. And to make sure that we are all able to type into the chat box, let us start first by typing where we are all from around the cricketing world. So I will start by saying Tom from Cape Town, South Africa. So wherever you are around the world, please let us know and feel free and welcome to contribute to the answers of the scenarios that will be played by video. We will also give you the opportunity, if you have a scenario that you over the years or over the last months or weeks have seen and do not know the correct answer to that scenario, we are opening the floor up to anyone and everyone to post a link to that scenario in the chat box, most likely a YouTube video, or if you have the video and you can post it directly into the chat box, you can do that. Please may I ask Abdullah to mute everybody that so that we don't have any interruptions during our session with Marais Erasmus. So firstly, welcome everyone again. Please post your name and your location around the cricketing world into the chat box. And as we go through the 5 scenarios, please post your answers into the chat box as well. And lastly, if you have a scenario that we haven't covered in any of our 30 Make the Call episodes, which are all on YouTube, or any of the 5 episodes that we are showing this evening, then please post your link to a scenario into the chat box. Abdullah will filter through all of the scenarios and he will choose the best 2 scenarios that Marais will take us through over and above the 5 that I already have ready for him. Please note, we will not be accepting any scenarios which are obvious errors by umpires We are looking for scenarios which are difficult to interpret the law, or there is a difference in opinion in terms of how that law is interpreted. So please, we're not looking for obvious errors by umpires. We all make mistakes and we learn from those mistakes. We are looking for scenarios which will generate healthy debate around the law or playing condition that is related to that particular scenario. So let's move on to our first scenario for the evening. And this is a recent scenario, I believe, out of Afghanistan. And I see a few of you from Afghanistan have tuned in today. So welcome. You might have already seen this. This is a boundary catch / boundary 6 scenario. So remember that Alauddin Palika took us through the new law which will be introduced into the law book in October 2026. However, the International Cricket Council has already adopted that law into men's international cricket playing conditions. So when you answer your question, please let us use the latest International Cricket Council playing conditions to answer these scenarios. So there's no sound for scenario 1. I will talk you through it. It is a pull shot out to deep mid wicket where the fielder takes the catch inside the field of play. He realizes that his momentum is going to take him outside the field of play, so he throws the ball up. The throw, however, is very close to the edge of the boundary, so he needs to jump up again. And you'll notice that when he jumped back into the field of play, his left foot was touching the boundary cushion, but he made sure that he threw the before he took the catch again, his foot was off the boundary cushion. Then he realized again his momentum would take him outside the field of play, so he threw the ball up once again and then eventually completed the catch inside the field of play. So let's watch the slow motion one last time, and you can punch into the chat box scenario 1 out court, or scenario 1 boundary 6. So those are your two options for this scenario. Scenario 1 out court, or scenario 1 boundary 6. Realizing that for a second time he would lose his balance, he threw the ball up for a second time, went outside the field of play for a second time, and then eventually came back into the field of play and completed the catch. So according to the new ICC playing conditions, is that out court or is that boundary 6? Marais Erasmus will take us through all of these scenarios once I've gone through them. Scenario number 2 took place about a month ago now between England women versus India women at the home of cricket, Lord's Cricket Ground. Let's see how this scenario unfolded. Tammy Beaumont plays a flick shot to mid-wicket. Good piece of fielding by Jemima Rodriguez. She throws the ball towards the wicketkeeper, and it appears that Tammy Beaumont has made contact with the ball. She did make good her ground as the throw came in, left foot in, and then the right leg seems to go towards the ball, and the ball makes contact with her pad, and the wicket keeper appeals for obstructing the field. So scenario number 2, out obstructing the field or play on. Not out, play on, nothing wrong. That is up to all of you to type into the chat box now. Scenario number 2, out obstructing the field, or scenario 2, play on. Next scenario happened again at the home of cricket. This was the World Test Championship final between South Africa and Australia, and it involved a bit of a panic scenario for South Africa's batter David Bedingham. So let me just get to the scenario and I'll play it for you guys.
But in the moment, I think I panicked big time. Yeah. Hello. Hello. It's obviously no way.
Can you just talk us through the Bedingham handled the ball situation? Did you withdraw the appeal?
Yeah, well, the umpires said it was dead ball, first of all, but yeah, I think we probably would have withdrawn. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I panicked big time because I think Kerry was standing up, so he was quite close. The umpires said, regardless, I think it was dead ball, but I think the way I dropped the ball, picked up the ball, came across a bit dodgy.
Was there any more discussion of it post, or was it kind of, it was dead ball, we move on?
I just think the slip board and just told me, just don't panic, just leave it, I think. But in the moment, I think I panicked big time, yeah.
I wonder if it's going to say, I'm not getting involved.
So let's watch it with the volume off and I can talk you through it. Ball was bowled at David Bedingham. It touched the bat and then went on to get stuck between his thighs and then bobbled down to his pad, between his pad and his thigh. Did it get trapped? Was it lodged? The appeal, of course, is because David Bedingham has now handled the ball. The handled the ball law has moved to obstructing the field. So question to all of you, is this a dead ball because it was trapped between the batter's equipment and his person, or was the ball never trapped? Should it have stayed alive? And are we going to give him out obstructing the field because he handled the ball while the ball was live? So a fair bit to consider there. Please type into the chat box S3 out obstructing the field or S3 dead ball. As mentioned, Marais will take us through these 5 scenarios once you have all had a chance to put your answers into the chat box. Scenario number 4. This one is, for me, the most interesting scenario of the selection. Is this out run out, or are we going to award 5 penalty runs to the batting side for the bowler throwing the ball at the striker? Let's have a look at the scenario.
They're appealing for it and he's gone upstairs. I think his first impression is he's got back in the crease. He's touched the bat down. And after hitting the bat, it has gone up.
All right, so very tricky one here, because you will see on this freeze frame that when the ball hits the stumps, no part of this striker is grounded beyond the popping crease. The bat is in the air, the foot is in the air, so he is not inside his popping crease. So scenario number 4, out run out, or do we penalize the bowler for throwing the ball at the striker? Tricky one. Please punch your decision into the chat box now. Scenario 4, out run out, or scenario 4, 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. And obviously, that would be not out. Last scenario for the evening, which Marais will take us through. And interestingly enough, Marais Erasmus himself was involved in this match. Let's have a look at this entertaining run out of Fakhar Zaman.
Oh, he's clubbed it. He's clubbed it. They have to go for a second. Have to go. Oh, he's out. Oh, dear. They thought it was being thrown to the other end. Stop running. Can't believe it. What a way for this innings to end. He's played so well. Oh, man. 192 of 154. This is one amazing innings. Applauded by his teammates. As Fakhar Zaman's taking the second run, is pointing the other end, saying, you get it, as if it's going that end. But the ball's coming towards him, and is well aware it's coming too. And then look at him laugh as well and say, oh, I done him. I got him. Absolutely brilliant from Quinton de Kock.
So interesting scenario here, because if you listen carefully, you will hear Quinton de Kock, as the throw is about to come in, he says, bowler, bowler, as if to alert the thrower, Aiden Markram, to throw it at the bowler's end, or to alert Ngidi, the bowler, that the ball is coming his way. So I'm just going to play it for you once again, just the beginning, for you to hear Quinton de Kock saying bowler, bowler. Interesting as to when exactly he says that.
Oh, he's clubbed it. He's clubbed it. They have to go for a second. Have to go. Oh, he's out. Oh, dear. They thought it was being thrown to the other end. Stop running. Can't believe it. What a way for this innings to end. He's played so well. Oh, man.
So for me, it sounded like he said bowler, bowler, while the ball was already in the air, just as it was about to hit his own stumps. So tricky one. Please type into the chat box out, run out, or 5 penalty runs for deliberate deception of the batter by Quinton de Kock. I think what made it easy there for the umpires is that Fakhar Zaman walked and accepted his fate. But if we were to be a little bit technical, should it have been out, run out, or should it have been 5 penalty runs? So there you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for your answers in the chat box. I'm sure a lot of you had differing opinions on the 5 different scenarios, and that is why we have got the expert opinion of Marais Erasmus to take us through the scenarios. Marais, good evening. How are you? Enjoying the winter in Hermanus and the off-season here in South Africa?
Hello, Tom, and everyone that's online tonight. Our winter is quite severe in Cape Town this year, quite wet and cold. And I spent a month in the US where it was quite warm. So, adapting since I've been back was quite a challenge, about 20 degrees Celsius difference. But, great to have time off. And I thought I was done with the hot seat when I retired last year from international cricket. Thrown me back into it.
Marais, we are always wanting you and other experts to help us with these difficult scenarios. Myself and Abdullah, as you know, we're quite fond of the law book, but I think, to have the experience of somebody who's been in these situations is always better to explain than just falling back onto the law book and not maybe using a bit of common sense or field craft that the likes of you and Alauddin Palika have. So yes, back in the hot seat.
It's important here tonight. I'm going to give my opinion, and some of it is obviously based on law, and some of it is based on experience. But I'm not necessarily 100% correct. So it's a nice debate. One or two of the examples are really great about the ethics and the spirit of cricket. I'll mention that when we get to it.
Great stuff. Thanks, Marais. So we'll go with the first one, and this one, I think there's a change to the boundary catch law that it will come into effect next year, October. But of course, the ICC have already adopted the new laws into their playing conditions. So do you want to talk us through the first scenario?
This is a great learning for me as well because of the change, and I must admit I haven't read through all the changes, seeing that our season is still more than a month away. So obviously the change now, if you leave the field for a second time, then all the opportunity to catch the ball is null and void. So in this particular case, it will be boundary 6.
Correct. I believe prior to the law change, this would have been out court, but the new law now only allows fielders one opportunity to go outside the field of play. Obviously, you can't touch the ball while you're grounded outside the field of play. This gentleman, quite athletic, he had to go outside of the field of play for a second time due to losing balance. And that is where it is now a boundary 6, according to the new law.
Just another idea, Tom. I always would like to know why these changes actually came about. In this particular case, it is so athletic, acrobatic, if you want to call it that. It's such a skill. The fielders are so skillful now, and I do know they do actually practice these scenarios. So to me, I don't see any reason why it was to change, but maybe you have something for all of us. Do you know for the motivation for this change?
Yeah, Marais, I think when we went through the boundary catch law change with police, there was one incident in the Big Bash League in 2019, I think it was, where the fielder juggled the ball outside of the boundary. And what he did well is he made sure that he was never in contact with the ground when he was in contact with the ball, juggling it. So that at the time was considered out court. However, it just didn't look good the way that he was juggling the ball outside of the field of play. So the changes from the lawmakers as well as the ICC adopting the new law were to prevent fielders from juggling the ball outside of the field of play. Bunny hopping, they called it. It does unfortunately restrict the fielder to only one attempt or one chance to be outside of the field of play. And this incident, even though it's very athletic, unfortunately, it is now not allowed. So this would be boundary 6, all because of that one bunny hopping, juggling act that we saw in the Big Bash League a few years ago.
Yeah, to me, it's dangerous to change the law because of one incident, but it's done. Let's move on.
Good. So scenario number 2, and I think this one split opinion depending on whether you were wearing a Indian shirt or a England cap that day. Tammy Beaumont appears to kick the ball in this particular scenario. The throw comes in from Jemima Rodriguez, and I think what might have saved Tammy here is the fact that she was in her ground, although in the law, Marais, of obstructing the field, it just says the umpire needs to decide whether it was a willful obstruction by the batter or not. Should
Yeah.
we consider whether she would have been run out or not?
Let me start with the act on the day. This particular long shot from wicket to wicket, as you use the word, it seems we cannot make a decision when we think it seems. It's got to be, I know that it was done. So in this particular case, I think her actions you cannot deem it to be deliberate. So therefore, in this case, not out. Now the argument is, to me, obstructing the field is the obstruction took place so it can either benefit the striker or the non-striker. And in this particular case, what benefit? She cannot be run out because she's made good her ground. So to me, in this particular case, although the law is silent on it, to me it's null and void anyway. But you don't know what led, or maybe some things happened before. It might not have been a first case. I still obviously wouldn't give her out because I can't prove that her actions were willful. But maybe then in that moment, a word spoken to the batter and say, listen, we don't want any of this messing around. Just play the game within the right spirit. If that happened, I don't know. I don't know if anything happened before, but that was just a little bit of field craft I would bring in to tell the batter, make sure you don't get involved or come in the way of the throws. It might have been a spicy series. I think every time India and England play each other, men or women, it's always spicy.
Yeah, and I suppose as umpires as well, we don't want to completely get rid of that competitive edge between the two teams. We've just seen a brilliant series, England versus India men's test series, which had all sorts of drama, not just decisions, but also players in each other's faces. And
yes, I totally agree. And like I watched the end today, didn't see much of the series, but watched the end today. And you could just see the respect that the teams had for each other afterwards. A hard battle fought, yes. There were moments where things, came close to boiling over. But still, both teams have lots of respect for each other. And that's what the way we want it. We don't want a soft game. Test cricket is hard. International cricket is hard.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marais. I completely agree with you on this one. Even though maybe by the letter of the law, she could have been given out obstructing the field. I think the fact that she's made her ground and there wasn't going to be any benefit for her to be gained from kicking the ball away. Correct decision made. Not out. Play on. And I think the umpires handled it well by not making too big a scene of it, and also the TV umpire erred on the side of caution to say that she wasn't 100% sure that it was willful. So still referring to the law.
You might. There was one a couple of years ago, also at Lords, Australia, England. Ben Stokes were involved. I think Mitchell Stark. And just on a lighter note, the TV umpire was Joel Wilson, and he said he needed security to get back to the change room. So people obviously get emotionally involved. And it was funny, shortly after that, we had our annual meeting in Dubai, and there were 4 Australian umpires and 4 English umpires, and they, when we spoke about this, were all supporting their own country. So I said, no, the 8 of you can be quiet because you're all biased.
Correct. So even at the highest level of split opinions, and I suppose at the end of the day, it is down to the umpire's discretion as to whether they feel an act is willful or just
And yeah,
protecting themselves.
and in cricket law, it's plenty of times it is about the opinion of the umpire. So not everything is black and white. Well, luckily, cricket laws are more black and white than, for instance, rugby laws, which I also follow. But yeah, and in the next case is another great example of that.
Great, yeah. So still at the home of cricket, David Bellingham during the World Test Championship final, Australia against South Africa. Let's have a look at what happened. And I think he admits that it did look rather dodgy, his actions of grabbing the ball and throwing it onto the ground. Funnily enough, Pat Cummins says they would have withdrawn the appeal. I would have loved to see Australia withdraw an appeal in a final. Your comments on this scenario, Marais?
Firstly, my comment on Pat Cummins' comments, the history tells you they wouldn't have. So. But yeah, maybe he learned from the others, and this time he would have done the right thing. Yeah, as I said, in this case, obviously the opinion of the umpires in this particular example is what matters. And I think this is probably, of all our decisions, the most 50-50 we'll get, because you have to determine if that ball got stuck. Even if it's just briefly, they obviously thought so. I thought he's very, very lucky. What is amazing to me is that a player like Bellingham, who has played a vast amount of cricket, in that moment obviously didn't have a grasp of the law, and then when he touched it, realized, well, I'm not supposed to touch it either. But if he had a grasp of the law, he would have, claimed that it's got stuck and therefore dead, and play it like that.
Yeah.
But he just looked guilty, and on another occasion he might have been given out, and he would not have had, South Africa couldn't have had any complaints if he was given out on this particular case. So, but on this particular moment, the umpires deemed that ball momentarily got stuck and therefore dead ball, which is what rights. But it's probably a 50-50 call.
50-50 call, and I suppose, Marais, that's why the ICC elite panel umpires are paid the big bucks to make the big calls. And what I enjoyed about that particular scenario is the two umpires made the call on field. They didn't go upstairs, because that's the easy option, is just to signal the TV sign and go upstairs and let the TV umpire decide. I
think sometimes we maybe in a televised game, always fall back and send it up. But you're right, they were strong on field. Both Chris and Richard saw what happened. In these particular cases, you must also use the big screen. So they probably saw a replay on the big screen, which helped them. And even the TV umpire might have said something in their ears, it got stuck and all of that. There was it was slick, it was easy, and they, made it a non-event.
Perfect. Great stuff, Marais. Moving on to the fourth scenario, which on our YouTube channel, we received, say, 30 answers to this scenario, and it was a dead split between out and not out. So I'm very interested to hear your opinion on this one. I'm going to play it with no volume on. And interesting, because the batter was out of his ground, so the bowler did have all right to throw the ball at the stumps. But of course, the bowler misses the stumps, hits the batter's bat, and the force of the throw ends up lifting the batter's bat. And as fate would have it, the batter's bat is in the air when the wicket is fairly broken. So an incredible sequence of events.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. The bowler had all rights to go for a run out because the batter was outside, so that's all fair. Um, Obviously, a different scenario if he never left the crease, and then it could be obviously a penalty for the bowler. But in this particular case, if I was the batter, I would retire from cricket because no one can be that unlucky. Unfortunately, he's out, and it's similar to me. I was trying to think, but what others issues on the cricket field can be deemed so terribly unlucky. If the ball is hit in the air and it hits the umpire and it ricochets and it's caught, you're also out. So
Correct.
in this particular case, yes, it's terrible bad luck, but unfortunately, you are out.
Correct. Yeah. According to the law as it is currently written, that is unfortunately out. There is a law that could potentially have saved this batter if he was diving or running
Yes,
into
I
the
got,
crease.
got to say that. Or trying to avoid injury once he's made
Correct.
good ground. So those particular cases, but he is obviously just strolling back, putting down his bat. So he's not running or diving, and therefore he's out.
100% correct according to law. I know in England they do have a playing condition that regardless of whether the striker was in his or her ground, if the throw hits the striker, then it is going to be 5 penalty runs to the batting side. But that is a playing condition specifically in England, not as per law.
Is it trying to discourage the throw by the bowlers?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then batters will probably take advantage and hang around and outside their crease. They also still give runners in England, so maybe they're soft.
Yeah, different playing conditions make it so much more difficult for all of us to know exactly what the correct
True, but
application is.
there's probably a bit of thought into why they did it. They might have had a few scenarios where things boiled over, bowlers throwing the ball at batters. So, there's always a history behind these things,
Correct.
and most of the time it's understandable.
Correct. Okay, last scenario before we open the floor up. Marais, you were involved in this game. Quite a hilarious piece of cricket. I want to watch this one with Pommy's commentary on, just for the added theatre.
Oh, he's clubbed it. He's clubbed it. They have to go for a second. Have to go. Oh, he's out. Oh, dear. They thought it was being thrown to the other end. Stop running. Can't believe it. What a way for this innings to end. He's played so well. Oh, man.
192 of 154. This is one amazing innings. Lauded by his teammates.
Asfakhar Zaman's taking the second run. Is pointing the other end, saying, you get it, as if it's going that end. But the ball's coming towards him, and is well aware it's coming too. And then look at him laugh as well and say, oh, I done him. I got him.
Absolutely brilliant from Quinton de Kock.
Tom, that's actually, I laughed when you said you want to watch it with Pommy's commentary, because that is where Pommy misled people, unfortunately, because he obviously can only act on what he sees.
Yes.
And obviously the umpires without commentary, so we see nothing of it. And as you rightly said, Quinton de Kock shouted, bowler's end, bowler's end.
Mm-hmm.
And in the match scenarios, Fakhar Zaman, who's one of my favorite cricketers, actually needed to get back on strike. He played an unbelievable innings, but it was all down to him to get on strike to win the game for Pakistan. And de Kock wanted the ball to go to the bowler's end because that was the lesser of an athlete, lesser of a runner. And when the through came, I think it might have been Markram who threw it, and then the cock realized the ball's actually coming to him. In that moment, he might have played the situation.
Mm.
And the laugh afterwards tells me, yes, he realized, but it wasn't his initial intention to get the ball to him. But
Right.
when the throw came in and he realized that this ball's actually coming to me, might have seen that fucker is actually not running flat out, thinking the ball's also going to the bowler's end. So that's obviously some of this information I have because I watched the video afterwards. But on the field, we had no knowledge of that,
Of course.
and therefore the decision was that it was out. But and he walked off. Potentially on another day, this could have seen as fake fielding, or and I'm not sure what the right law would have been. Maybe you can assist me. But yeah, on the day with the information we had, he was just out.
Yeah, the law is 41.5, deliberate deception, distraction, or obstruction of a batter, by word or by action.
Yeah. That the second part of that ball traveling to him, you can make a case for that. But I know his initial thoughts was not to do it. And obviously, Markram didn't hear his call because the ball then came to him.
Yeah.
The counter argument must be then, well, Markram has to be on it as well, for it to be, so sneaky. And I'm sure 80 yards, he was never in on it. He just threw the ball to the side that he picked, not hearing the cock.
Yeah. And I suppose, again, Marais, as umpires, we need to be 100% certain that it was a deliberate deception and it was willful and not, as you said, it's very difficult to judge a player's intent, isn't it?
But their reaction might have, given the impression that it was intent. Where players need to be far more clever. Bettingham case, he was an idiot. In this particular case, the cock celebration was idiotic. He should have said, shit, that was bad luck. But, they're cheeky. They think they're smarter.
Yeah.
They shoot themselves in the foot sometimes.
And of course, they don't know law 41.5. So
they don't know the color of the law book.
Great. No, brilliant. And I'm glad that we were able to get first-hand experience of that particular scenario, Marais. Thank you so much. I promised you it would take 45 minutes. We've taken 43 minutes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And dinner's not ready, so you can carry on.
Okay, great. So I'm going to bring in Abdullah here and ask him. There's obviously a lot in the chat box that I've missed out on while chatting to Marais. Abdullah, do we have any scenarios that have come in of videos that umpires around the world would like to ask Marais to take us through?
Good evening to you, Tom. Good evening to you as well, Marais, and the rest of the attendees. No, Tom, no videos or no links were posted in the chat box. Over.
Okay, that's great. That makes our life a lot easier.
Well done on your award that you won a couple of evenings ago for the Umpires Umpire. I told you, now you know we all love you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marais. Thank you.
Yeah, very well done and well deserved, Abdullah. We're all so happy for you. It couldn't have gone to a more deserving candidate. So we don't have any videos to go through. Abdullah, were there any questions through all the answers that came into the chat box? Maybe perhaps any clarification questions that were posted?
Yes, Tom, there were a few comments and questions. Just give me a second. Let me just find them again.
Sure.
There was a question I saw about the bunny hop. It says, was the bunny hop not considered for hops that's outside the rope? That's the question.
So I've actually got the good question, Abdullah. I'm not sure who it came from, but I've got the presentation of the new court law that I can show to the candidates. It's obviously not in a law book as yet, but this is what the law book will read next year, October. Let me just share my screen. So the law reads, it's quite a lengthy one. I'm going to read the part that is most relevant to that question. The last sentence: any subsequent contact with the ground outside the boundary by that fielder during that delivery, whether or not in contact with the ball, will result in a boundary being scored. So you are only allowed to leave the field once, and when you come back, you obviously cannot touch the ball while you're grounded outside the field of play. And then when you come back, you must complete the catch. If you go outside again, as that fielder did, then the boundary 6 will result.
So Tom, I see they say that fielder. So what if he's assisted by someone else who also has to go out once? Or
So
that's the law silent on that?
as far as I know, the law applies to each fielder. So I think Abdullah maybe could correct me if I'm wrong. I think each fielder can go out once, and obviously as long as they are not in contact with the ball at the same time as being in contact with the ground outside the field of play. Yeah, that would be an interesting one. I'm sure somewhere along the line we will have it come up, and then we will be debating it once more, Marais. I think a lot of these laws are written and rewritten after specific scenarios happen. And as you said, it's maybe not a good thing to change a law based on one scenario, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave you with some food for thought. I have that on the soft signal. I think we've not made it better. I think the national teams bought into the soft signal, but it's now been changed. And the motivation was that TV umpires hid behind the soft signal. Well, to me, you should have addressed the TV umpiring protocols then, not make something now, when there's a disputed catch, there's always one team now aggrieved. Where we had the soft signal, at least there was a structure within which we worked.
Yeah.
And teams understood that. So that's one example where it's not better. The other thing that I think was this absolute ridiculous law is whenever a wicket falls that the new batter is on strike. Because we took some intelligence out of the game. Whereas it was the last ball of the over, the non-striker actually had to think, well, should I cross so that I'm either on or not on strike next over? And now we've taken all of that intelligence just out of the game. So that's the motivation for that change. I never understood or supported. But just a few examples. I'm not a law boffin. To me, it was more about feel on field with these things, cricket logic, if you want to call that. But yeah, just two things maybe to discuss in a further forum for your aspirating umpires. I'm not sure if there's a word like that, but I just made it up.
I think aspiring is the word you're looking for.
Thanks, Doc.
No worries. Before we let you go, I see there's a question on scenario number 2. Tammy Beaumont kicking the ball, whether intentionally or not. Varun asks, in scenario number 2, where there was an appeal for obstructing the field, had the ball deflected off the pad of the batter and went to the boundary for 4, would your decision have been different now, Marais? Because we mentioned the fact that Tammy Beaumont didn't gain any advantage from the ball making contact with her pad. But if the kick was so hard that it went all the way to the boundary, do we have different thoughts now?
Yes, it is an interesting scenario. It takes me back to Lords in 2019. But yeah, in this particular case, I deemed it not to be a kick. And if it then ricocheted, then I mean, it's overthrows, and so be it.
So if you deem that it's not a willful kick, then we will allow, just as you did with Ben Stokes in the 2019 ODI final, World Cup final, play continues, and if the ball crosses the boundary, then boundary 4 will be scored.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Marais. There are a few more questions in the chat box, but they are not related to the scenarios. And I did specifically ask for scenarios to be sent via video because it's very difficult to sometimes visualize scenarios which are typed out in text. Abdullah and myself will maybe try and decode them later in this evening's lecture, but we will let you enjoy your supper and the rest of your Monday night. Thank you very much.
Tom, thanks for having me, and I'll see the two of you soon up in the old Gauteng.
Yes, looking forward to our panel conference in 3 weeks' time. Thanks, Marais. Keep well. Chat soon.
Keep well. Thank you.